Scene.
Not very often is it given to the average man and woman to feel that he or she is assisting in the making of history. A royal wedding is a historical occasion, not only for the lucky people who witness it and for those who watch it reenacted on the screen, but also for many who never see it at all, since all of us will go on referring to it for the rest of our lives. Moreover, everybody rejoices in the happiness of the King and Queen, who set to the world such an example of royal dignity and domestic felicity. In this spirit, British Movietone News offers its tribute of congratulation and respect to the Duke and Duchess of Kent, to their Majesties and the whole royal family. It's a dull day as the King and Queen drive out of Buckingham Palace, attended by a sovereign's escort of lifeguards, at the head of the first procession to the abbey. The Duke of Kent's procession starts from St. James's Palace. Tens of thousands of loyal and romantic people give His Royal Highness the bridegroom a warm-hearted crescendo of cheers as he drives to his wedding, accompanied by the Prince of Wales and the Duke of York. Did London ever see such a huge assembly of enthusiastic people? For, apart from feelings of devotion to the royal family, the imagination of the British public has been captured by the personality of Princess Marina. And now, at 10:46 a.m., strictly according to schedule, there starts from Buckingham Palace the procession of Her Royal Highness the Bride, hidden from view at present in her closed landau, but the crowds are promised a better view on the return journey to be made in a glass carriage. With a captain's escort of lifeguards in attendance, the bridal cavalcade follows the other processions towards the abbey. The procession of their Majesties has already arrived in Parliament Square, where the street lamps, lit in the morning gloom, add a picturesque touch to the scene. Ring out bells for the royal bridegroom. As Prince George, to use the name by which he is most familiar, arrives in Parliament Square, he acknowledges happily the cheers of his enthusiastic countrymen. Finally, the bride herself. From the oblique view in Parliament Square, the first fleeting glimpse is caught of Princess Marina in her bridal dress. Within the abbey, the time-honored and hallowed ritual is enacted in the presence of the privileged guests. The royal pair stand before the Archbishop of Canterbury, who in the beautiful ceremonial of the church pronounces them man and wife at the chancel steps. The King and Queen hear their youngest son take the solemn matrimonial vows. The marriage lines, signed George and Marina. The ceremony is over. In the shadow under the canopy of the west door, the Duchess has her ermine wrap adjusted, the Duke standing beside her. Presently, they enter the glass carriage to start the drive back to Buckingham Palace, for which everyone has saved a final cheer and a wave. What a reception is given to their Royal Highnesses of Kent all along the route. At Marlborough Gate there is a detour, and the royal carriage passes out of the Mall up St. James's Street, so that tens of thousands more spectators may have their view of the procession. From Piccadilly, lined with enormous crowds, the itinerary runs to Hyde Park Corner, and the horses are headed down Constitution Hill towards the palace. If it is possible to single out greater enthusiasm at one point than another, it is here outside Buckingham Palace. And to the bride and bridegroom as they pass through the gates, it must seem that the cheering has reached its climax at the end. Presently, the police permit the waiting multitude to surge across to the palace railings. Here, enthusiasm is rewarded as the Duke and Duchess of Kent appear on the balcony. They are joined by the King and Queen and members of both bride and bridegroom's families, including little Princess Elizabeth, the smallest bridesmaid. And in a last charming episode, His Majesty holds up Princess Margaret Rose to wave to the crowd. The wedding group, posed for the court photographers, shows the happy pair standing between the King and Queen and surrounded by the royal guests who attended the wedding. The bridesmaids group. And the bridal portrait. And so, a day which will live in memory draws to a close with the final scene, the departure of the Duke and Duchess from Paddington Station on their honeymoon. The Duke, like any other bridegroom, carrying a contribution of confetti. May it be a blessed and glorious beginning to a happy and delightful married life.
At Himley Hall, Movietone has the happy privilege of photographing the royal honeymoon couple, who graciously pose in the grounds while the camera records the first film study of the Duke and Duchess of Kent since the day of their wedding. With the Duke's faithful Alsatian in attendance, their Royal Highnesses are seen enjoying the peace of the countryside after the excitement and pageantry of the London ceremony. Once again, let us extend heartfelt wishes to the Duke and Duchess for good luck and happiness.
The Royal Air Force gives its annual at home to the public with entertainment. There is a dress rehearsal, and before a delighted audience of privileged spectators, the big Vickers Virginias play air skittles with small bombs for bowls. Movietone's cameraman, Paul Wyand, gets some superb effects from diving machines against a cloud-decked sky. The Duke of Kent comes to the display, where the new Air Minister, Sir Philip Cunliffe Lister, performs introductions, with Sir Philip Sassoon in support.
At Bled, Yugoslavia, Prince and Princess Paul's children enjoy themselves in their cars, while the Duke and Duchess of Kent form a group on the lawn with their host and hostess, the Duchess's sister. Tenants of Prince Paul's estate who wear peasant costume make a presentation to the royal visitors during their peaceful holiday at the castle, whence their betrothal was announced to the world. The Duchess shakes hands with the peasants, and the picturesque little ceremony is over, a happy picture of the Duke and Duchess on holiday.
Arrives without her husband at the abbey wedding, for the Duke is acting as best man. She comes with the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and so Lady Mary Hope is married under truly royal auspices. Lady Mary is lady-in-waiting to the Duchess of Kent, and the bridegroom is Lord Herbert, Equerry to the Duke. For those who understand these things, I should mention that the bride's robe is of rich satin with a long double train. She is attended by 4 bridesmaids and 6 little pages, who seem the least concerned in the happenings, but wait till their turn comes. The royal ladies kiss before leaving, and while they wait for their cars at the west door, we get a charming study of the royal party, with the Duchess of Gloucester particularly radiant.
A busy day for royalty. After the levee, the christening. From number 3 Belgrave Square, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth leave for Buckingham Palace. Prince Edward of Kent, carried by his nurse, follows his baby sister to the waiting car. Next, Queen Mary and the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. Then the parents, the Duke and Duchess of Kent. At the palace, the christening is performed from a gold font from Windsor, and water from the River Jordan when the baby is named Alexandra, Helen, Elizabeth, Olga, Christabel.
undergraduates of the University of Wales thus greet their Chancellor, who is graciously pleased to overlook the impertinence implied by the words of the varsity anthem. The Duchess of Kent, in academic robes, is presented to the Duke, who invests her with the degree of a doctor in music. Proceedings close with the Welsh national anthem. The winter sports holiday of the Duke and Duchess of Kent, here seen at St. Anton, is cut short by the passing of the Duchess's father, Prince Nicholas of Greece. Their Royal Highnesses had been enjoying the skiing at the famous Austrian resort when news came of the serious illness of the Prince. During their holiday, the Duke of Kent found a lost cigarette case in the snow and was handed the advertised reward of £4, which he passed on to charity. The Duchess of Kent visits the West Country. Wearing an Alexandra hat, though her coiffure, you'll notice, is not so Edwardian, she inspects the Guard of Honour formed by the Somersets. Within the famous assembly rooms, purses containing contributions to the hospitals are presented by children, while Her Royal Highness sits between Lord Bath and the Mayor. By her presence, Bath recovers some of its former glories of the 18th century. And what glories! The Duchess brings back to the spa the flavour of fashionable leadership when in the evening she appears in black pannier dress and V-shaped decolletage for a resplendent ball. Her partner is the Mayor, Captain Adrian Hopkins. The assembly rooms have been in disuse for about a century, but this long interval merely seems to enhance the association with Jane Austen and Charles Dickens. Highlight of the programme is the Minuet. The body of the Duke of Kent, draped with the Union Jack and his personal standard, reaches London on the way to Windsor Castle, where it will rest prior to the private funeral in St. George's Chapel. The Duke and Duchess had regularly worshipped at the little church of St. Peter's, Ivor. To its parishioners, the royal tragedy is a personal sorrow. Heavily veiled and escorted by the Reverend Digby Crichton, the Duchess arrives for the village's memorial service. In her terrible grief, the expression and evidence of her neighbours' sympathy has without doubt proved a great comfort. The simple service over, the Duchess, together with her lady-in-waiting, Lady Herbert, leaves the parish church for her home nearby.